So good evening once again, everybody. Hope you are well. It is Monday evening. It's the 4th of November. Like I said at the very for the start, when people were just joining, bonfire night in the UK tomorrow night. But we're going to set some fireworks off tonight. So cheesy, isn't it? Over the next hour, we're going to be talking about loads of stuff. I've got an exclusive video to play out for you guys that won't go anywhere else. It's not going to go on atsonthis.tv. I'm not really going to share it anywhere else. I just want to play it out here for you lot who can be bothered to turn up. Really appreciate the fact that so many people join me every Monday night. If you're here for the first time, Solar, don't know how you say your first name, but you said you were here for the first time on Facebook. We do this every Monday night, 9 p.m. till 10 p.m. A completely free broadcast, chew the fat on the acting industry, personal development, loads of stuff basically. We just put the world to rights and we just help each other get further in our careers faster. Sometimes I bring guests on these, other times I'll play out exclusive videos from features that I do for atsonthis.tv. If you're not a member of the website, you don't know what it is. If you are joining for the first time, I run a website called atsonthis.tv. I've run it since 2011. Every week I sit down with a famous actor, a director, a casting director, an agent, whoever, someone who's having a lot of success in the industry, and we have a super honest chat over a brew and reverse engineer their success. If it's a casting director, we talk to them about their casting process, how us as actors can get in the room with them. I bring on the biggest casting directors. They cast the biggest shows on TV. And ultimately, if you pop a pair of headphones in every week and you listen to this stuff, I absolutely promise you, if you act on it, that's why it's called Act on This, if you act on the advice given out in these features, I promise you, it will be impossible for you not to expedite your career. You're going to get much further, much faster if you give yourself a kick up the arse, listen to this stuff, and start acting on it, implementing it into your life. Recently, I put out 2 awesome features last week, and I know because one went out on Monday and one went out on Friday. You normally get one a week. You had 2 last week because this film that this lad here, Chris Hitchens, stars in, was out on Friday. Ken Loach's brand new film called Sorry We Missed You. It's an absolute masterpiece. I saw it with Chris last week. We recorded a podcast together about 5 weeks ago, actually. I've been sat on this audio for a while. Was so eager to put it out. I couldn't put it out until Friday because the film wasn't out yet. The film came out on the 1st of November. Please go and watch the film, but listen to this podcast. If you are in a bit of a rut right now, maybe you've lost your mojo a bit in your acting career, you feel like it's never going to happen for you. You know, all these limiting beliefs people have. I'm getting on a bit. I'm getting too old. I should have had my break by now. I'm going to quit. Go and listen to this. It's an hour and 45 minutes. Chris tried to quit the acting industry 4 times. He was a plumber, kept getting so jaded and just like, no, I can't do this. I'm not going to bother anymore. Kept getting dragged back into the industry until it was like just the universe would not let him go. Until ultimately, last year he got this opportunity to audition. He didn't. He made an opportunity to audition for Ken Loach's film. You hear about that in the podcast. He didn't get invited to audition. His agent didn't put him forward or anything like that. He, off his own back, reached out to the casting director when he realised the casting director was looking for somebody to... it was a Geordie initially. They wanted a Newcastle actor initially, and then Chris heard on the grapevine, no, they were going to go for Manchester. They were opening it up because they couldn't find the Newcastle actor that they, thought fitted it, and he reached out, hustled himself to get the opportunity. You hear all about his audition in this podcast, and honestly, it's just I promise you, it's going to restore your faith in yourself, in this industry. It's really going to give you a kick up the arse. If you are feeling a little bit disgruntled right now with where you're at in your career, you need to listen to that. I also put a podcast out with Melissa Johns, star of upcoming BBC One drama Life, last week as well. Super inspirational once again. Melissa is a disabled actress. She was born with one arm. We talk about ultimately embracing your uniqueness in your acting career, and really owning that shit, really owning what makes you different. Melissa hid her disability from the industry for 25 years and got nowhere. The minute she started opening up about it, started showing some vulnerability and started owning her uniqueness, things have really started to kick off for her, and she's just landing job after job. She's doing really well. Not even playing disabled characters, nothing like that. It's not a sympathy vote going, oh, you can have a part because you're disabled. She doesn't play any disabled roles. This is just the fact that she was like, right, I'm going to actually stop hiding myself from the industry. So go and listen to those. If you're not a member of atsonthis.tv, grab your membership right now. It'll cost you less than 1 large latte at Starbucks a week. That's literally it. There's no better investment in your career, I swear to God. People are throwing money down the pan, spending 65 quid on some bullshit workshops that don't work, that are getting you nowhere. If you go into a workshop every week and you're still in the same position you were a year ago, quit wasting your money and start actually learning about the business of the business and how you can actually take control of your career yourself. So go and listen to those. Honestly, I swear to God, there's another 200 hours worth of features on there as well. that stuff will change your outlook a lot on the industry, and you're going to really start to feel empowered, like you can actually, do something yourself, that you are not just in the hands of the gods. Luke, good evening. It was great to see everyone at the Acts on this meetup on Saturday, by the way, in Manchester. That's another thing we do. If you remember the website, we host monthly meetups in person. It was wicked to see everyone on the first Saturday of every month we do them. We just held one just on Manchester. And Steve, look, mate. Steve gave me his mug. Steve also has a podcast called Two Lines in Doctors. He gave me a Two Lines in Doctors mug. So thanks for that, Steve. Put that in pride and place up there for you, mate. I thought we'll give you some free ads. Although you need to print the name out bigger. I don't know if people will be able to see it if they're watching on their phones. But I'll put the mug up there for you. Definitely. Carly, good evening. James said he signed up last month to Acts on this. Great content that I'm slowly getting through. Keep it up, Ross, and looking forward to seeing you in the new year at Acts in Mechanics. Yeah, mate, I'm going to come and do a talk at Acts in Mechanics. All about goal setting in the new year. So tonight, what I want to talk about, two things. Well, probably three or four things, actually. The first thing is, now we are in the last 8 weeks of this year. I put a post out this morning on Acts on this. I'm just going to go back over to the site a second. Premium members get access to a premium community on here. It's not a Facebook group. It's like proper private, where you can ask questions about your career, get advice on agents. We give email addresses out of various people in the industry because it's not public. It's all locked away. It's nice and secure. I put this post out in here that everybody has been replying to all day. What's your Monday manifesto, right? We've got 8 weeks of the year left. I promise you, most people, I've seen this every year for the last 8 years. I've been in this industry 20 years, but every year I've ran this website, I've seen people start to wind down, slow down, and almost just give up on achieving anything else this year. They want to start going out, relaxing, letting their hair down, going to Christmas parties, ultimately, just drinking a bit more, getting merry, putting the Christmas jumpers on. I'm all for Christmas, but there's a time and a place. You have an opportunity now, a golden window of like 6 weeks where you can absolutely get ahead of your competition. So I made premium members on the website this morning put a manifesto out basically of 3 things that they really want to work on between now and Christmas to actually, end the year strong on a high so you can go into January like full steam ahead as opposed to crawling out of a drunken slumber and going, oh God, I spent the last 3 months doing nothing. It's really powerful when you really get, keep going right up until a few days before Christmas, and then you can let your hair down and actually enjoy Christmas and not feeling guilty that you've done naff all for 2 or 3 months. So I just want people to start thinking like, what did you set yourself as goals at the start of this year that right now you're like, you know what, I'm no further ahead with that than I was in January. And it's fine to change goals, to go, actually, that no longer matters to me. I mean, that's completely fine. If you have no emotional connection to that goal, maybe, at the start of the year, you wanted to write your first short film, and actually you're like, you know what, I'm not kind of into that right now. I've changed my mind. That's cool. But, real kind of like important things where it comes to like, show reels, agents, headshots, things that are like, really actionable and practical and are essential to your career. What is it that you want to get done that you absolutely can get done within the next 6 weeks if you put your mind to it? And write that stuff down. Science suggests that we have a 42% higher chance of achieving what we want in our lives if we write it down. There's something about writing a goal down that makes it real. And that sounds a bit out there and a bit, a bit woo-woo. But the science behind that, there's a lot of science behind that in the world of high-performance psychology. When you write something down that you want to achieve, it makes it real. If you put that thing in front of you on Post-it notes, when you're cleaning your teeth, on the mirror, wherever it is, to remind you that you are after that thing, and you check in with yourself on a daily or a bi-daily, every other day basis, it's going to keep you on track. So I'd be really interested to know what people actually want to achieve before Christmas. And if you are a member of actsonthis.tv, get into that forum post and let me know what you want, because I'm going to then create the content over the next 6 weeks for the website and bring guests in from different areas of the industry that are going to be congruent with everybody's goals. If people want to know more, about, I don't know, it could be anything like, maybe you're still not sure about how you approach a cover letter to an agent. I'm going to bring more agents in. There's loads of podcasts on here with great agents already, but I'm going to start doing these career builder calls as well, where once a month we all get online as a group call for premium members with a guest, and you can actually ask your questions face to face via your webcam and mic. So I can bring guests on that are congruent with the goals that you want to achieve. Matt Banks is in the house. He says he's booked a part in a play and a new movie. He's performing another theatre production of A Christmas Carol, which is awesome. Nice one, mate. Cy Barton's in the house. All right, Cy. Josh Fielding, Claire Fox. Amazing podcast with Chris, says Liz. Inspirational. Honestly, everyone should go and listen to that podcast with Chris. It is really, really good. It's really going to give you, that boost that you need. Amanda's here, says sorry she couldn't make the meet-up, but you'll be have to be January due to working. We've got the Christmas meet-up. You're going to miss a Christmas one. Got the Christmas meet-up in December. Mikey Swift's in the house. Sam's here and Esther's here as well. So is Patrick. Good evening, Patrick. Hope you're well, mate. I keep seeing all of your Instagram posts. Very prolific on Instagram right now. So that's the first thing. Let's get clear on the things that you want. And one of the things that I wanted to do a lot more of this year when I set my goals was speak more in public. I love presenting as well as acting. I don't think you need to just be an actor. I think some of the most boring people I know are just actors and they don't have other things in their life. I think those who have a bit of a, diverse career when it comes to, or it doesn't have to be anything to do with performance. You can be an actor, but on the other hand, you can have, a super deep interest in, wine tasting or knitting or cupcake baking, I don't know. But one of the things for me that I really wanted to get my teeth stuck into this year was public speaking. There's a real industry around public speaking. It's incredible. You get to meet some incredible people, speak at some incredible events. It's great for networking. And an opportunity came up for me earlier this year, through Dawn Wolfington, who's a member of the website. Dawn, if you're on here, good evening. To speak at an event called EQ Connects, which was all about emotional intelligence. EQ is emotional intelligence as opposed to IQ. I'm a big believer that EQ is more important than IQ. And if you're an actor, EQ is absolutely freaking critical to your career. EQ ultimately means being aware of your emotions, being able to control your emotions, and being able to express your emotions. And as an actor, you need to have a real control over all three of those things. You've got to be aware of your emotions, both as a person and as an actor within a scene. You've got to be, aware of those emotions. You've got to be able to control them. If you can't control them, then you're not going to be able to, control your emotions on cue. And then you've got to be able to express them. So it's a really interesting career as an actor, because you not only have your life and your emotions as a person to balance, you've got your emotions as your character to balance, and then the emotions of the person opposite you as a real person to balance. There's politics on set. We all know that. Not everyone gets on with everyone on set. And then you've got the emotions of your character to balance with their character as well. So it's a fascinating area. So EQ Connects was a conference, the first one of its kind in this country, all around emotional intelligence. People came from all around the world to this conference. Really big event in Gateshead in Newcastle at the Hilton Hotel. Beautiful hotel. Everybody gathered there, and I was asked to do a live Q&A with an actor called Ed Speleers, who is a top bloke. He's a great guy. He stars as a character called Stephen Bonnet in Outlander. Have we got any Outlander fans in the house? Chris Edge, good evening. Mike Ellison, good evening as well. Anyone, do you know what? I had to be honest with Ed. I'm like, Ed, I've not seen enough Outlander, mate. He also played a character in Downton Abbey for 3 seasons. Was it Ricky? He played. I just got Ricky in my head because of Chris Hitchin played the character of Ricky. Someone Google who Ed Speleers was in Downton Abbey. He did 3 seasons of it though. My mate Rob's in Downton Abbey. I should know that. But yeah, any Outlander fans in the house? I know if Meg's here, Meg Burley, an actress in the community, she's a massive Outlander fan. Dawn is here. She says, you were absolutely brilliant at EQ event, Ross. Thank you, Dawn. Well, I'm going to play it out. I've got the recording of that event now, of our session, that I'm going to play out to you guys. Because I just think it's interesting. It's useful, both in your acting career and out your acting career as well. We kind of framed a lot of this talk around... we applied it to the acting industry, but then kind of tried to make it more general for people in business, and and that's the kind of stuff. As an actor, you are your own business. It's completely relevant for that. Good evening, Glyn Jelly in the house. My accountant's joined. Good evening to see you, mate. Good to see you. Good evening. Good to see you. So yeah, I'm going to play it for you now. But I just want to know first if anyone is into Outlander and knows Ed Speleers and Stephen Bonnet. So there should be loads of Outlander's massive. But I haven't spent enough time watching it. Carly, good evening. Steve's in the house as well. So I'm going to play this now. I can still see the comments, but obviously I'm going to be playing the video. So this is a pre-recorded video. I think it's probably done. What is it? Half an hour or something like that. It is pretty long, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. Ed's had massive experiences. There was one part of this video we had to cut out, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's just because it mentioned a really big franchise of a movie franchise, and it was something that Ed was seen for. And because we spoke about rejection, emotional intelligence around rejection, you might have just been rejected from a role you really wanted recently. Ed spoke about that and how he kind of deals with rejection. But ultimately, you're not going to see that because it had to be cut, unfortunately, just for copyright or like, I don't know, franchise reasons. But yeah, I just want you to know that no matter what stage in your career you're at, Ed's working very much at the top of TV right now and film as well. Rejection is just part and parcel of it, man. And you've just got to like realize that there are no failures in this industry. Like just the fact that, you're getting in the room means you are succeeding. If you're being asked to audition for stuff, whether you get that role or not, someone has believed enough in you to bring you in, and you've got to take the wins from that as well. I promise you, all success is built on adversity, and there are no failures in life. As long as you are learning, you're succeeding. So if you learn something from that rejection, something from that audition you didn't get, I promise you, you are still, becoming a better actor in that process. So I'm going to play you this now. I'm going to jump back on at the end. I'm going to give you a couple more updates of what's going on. And that's on this.tv this week. And a huge shout out as well to everyone who's joined recently. 65 people joined That's on This.tv this weekend. Like, it's blowing up. The membership is just like going through the roof. So if you're not an actor and you're not on board this now, so much of your competition is getting like insider knowledge that you're not getting. Please come and get involved with it. And we're a massively supportive community as well. Everybody helps everybody. It's like one up, all up. I promise you, there's no competition in this at all. Everybody's helping everybody. You'll also see in this Charlie Charlton, who's a BBC correspondent, hosts the little beginning of this where she introduces me and Ed. Shout out to you, Charlie. Not that you're going to be watching this, but she's lovely as well. So that's who you're going to see intro this. And I'll see you guys at the end of this. I think it is about half an hour, but stick with it. Share it. Please retweet this if you're watching on Twitter. Share it if you're watching on LinkedIn. Share it if you're watching on Facebook. I'll see you shortly. All right? Enjoy.
Well, hello everyone. I think the doors will probably flap open and closed as people come in from having their little breaks. This has been a tremendous day so far. Can I just say thank you to everybody who's been coming up and having a conversation as well. There are brilliant stories throughout this whole room. People who have come to emotional intelligence through really different paths. Some people who, I was meeting a lady earlier, who very recently has just left a job that she was in for a very, very long time and built up gradually the courage to leave because she had this calling. She just felt that there was something that had more purpose, more meaning in her life, and she wanted to do that with it. And she's done it. Woohoo! And I was talking to another gentleman before who was desperate to know what my toddler was like during the day when I mentioned that he went to forest school. And he said, does he get dirty? Yeah, he gets dirty. Do you put the clothes in the wash? I didn't expect these questions. I do, and yes, it did break the washing machine. So I'm glad I'm not alone in that. It's been lovely to meet so many people. We have a couple of talks now on the stage, and then we're going to have another breakout with some more of the workshop sessions, which have been brilliant so far. I learned something that's being taught in some schools. Have you heard this? Go snot. Anybody? Seemingly. It was from you. Thank you. It's about gaining autonomy, and as long as children can do that from a very young age, then they can take it on through the rest of their lives. And what it stands for is S is self, N is neighbour, O is opposite, T is teacher. And what the idea is, if you've got a problem in class that you can't solve, you look within yourself, you go to your neighbour, you go to the kid opposite you, and then you'd end up going to the teacher. And it means that the whole class ends up working together. And it can change the way that education happens in a really positive way. I thought that was wonderful. And also a very energetic class with Catherine and Ilaria as well. And the actors who are involved in that deserved an Oscar. Talking of which, our next guy. I've got a question for you. Feel happy to answer this. Has anybody ridden a dragon? Has anyone been the hero fighting against John Malkovich? Who here has played a self-confessed cocky wind-up merchant under Dame Maggie Smith? Who here has been an Irish smuggler, a Tudor royal relative, and battled zombies and werewolves? Are you here? You are. Yes. Ed Speleers, star of the movie Eragon, part of the award-winning Downton Abbey team, of course. And the question is, how on earth does he navigate all of those worlds, some real, some fake, and his own home life as well? But how does he bring in time traveling with emotional intelligence to make a successful career out of this? So we're going to find out with the help of Ross Grant, who, of course, as an actor and coach and many other things, can help lead us through this. So let's welcome Ed and Ross to the stage.
Clap, Ed.
I'll give you a clap as well, Ross.
Give you a clap. Good afternoon, Is this mic on? Yes, I can hear myself now.
Definitely is, Ross.
This is a little bit like Parkinson. So we are filling the after-dinner slots. So I know a lot of people who put your hand up if you had a dessert. Be honest. There's a lot of people who are not being very honest right now. Put your hand up if you had a dessert.
Well, we got a fight on then, Ross.
Exactly. We're going to try and G everybody up. There's some directors. Ken Loach, famous director, does not let his lead actors have dessert at lunch because it brings people's energy down a little bit. They get a bit sluggish after dinner. So hopefully we're going to bring your energy back up.
It's a little bit dictatorial, that, though, isn't it? I suppose. I'm a big fan of Loach, but that's a bit controlling.
Ken, if you're watching,
yeah.
Ed is not having a job. So good afternoon. Massively excited to be here. My name's Ross. I'm an actor as well and a presenter. And for the last 8 years, I've been running a really large community in the acting industry. Act on This, the TV Actors Network, actonthis.tv. If you're an actor or you want to be an actor, come and get involved. But I've sat down on a weekly basis with some of the most successful actors, writers, directors, producers, execs. We're talking Oscar winners, BAFTA winners, Emmy award winners, some huge names in the industry. Every week I record a podcast with these people and we reverse engineer what it is that has led to their success. And every story is very, very different. But one thing I think that is a thread that runs throughout all of those interviews, ultimately is emotional intelligence. As actors, we develop an emotional intelligence that maybe, Ed, we're not even aware of a lot of the time. I don't think actors even realise this is what they're doing, but an ability to be aware of their emotions, understand their emotions, control their emotions, and then be able to express their emotions on set or on stage. And you're juggling, obviously, those in your work and those in your life. So that's what we're going to be talking about with Ed during this session. We asked people at last night's dinner to tweet us, AskEdEQ, the hashtag. And we've pulled out probably 4. We're going to do 4 tweets, Ed. And then I'm going to throw the ball out, because I think for the last 10 minutes we'll just get some. It's going to obviously, stir some questions in the room, and we're going to, go live and hopefully give you guys as much value as possible. So thank you to everybody who has tweeted. I'm going to bring up the first question and we'll get stuck in, man.
Perfect.
Give as much value as possible. So shout out first of all to Ian Trotter. Is he in the room? Yes, Ian. So Ian asked, and this is a big issue for a lot of actors, but also a lot of people in the room, this applies to everybody. How do you manage the gap between a project finishing and a new production starting? So ultimately for an actor, like the peaks and the troughs, you'll be on a high 1 minute, you're in Eragon, you're in this huge film, you're being flown first class around the world, you're being treated like a king, and then bang, your job finishes and you're dropped back down to earth. On an EQ level, how do you deal with that gap?
That's a good question. I think taking the example of Eragon, that came at a time when I was 17 years old and I was thrust into this environment of doing a $100 million movie, and I'd never been in front of a camera before. And the low on the back of that was quite catastrophic. It took me a long time, actually, as a human, let alone as an actor, to trust myself enough to have enough strength to cope with the lows, I suppose, and the being out of work. And it takes time to get a thick skin to be able to handle that. To the point now where I'm sort of a 31-year-old man with 2 children, and I'm literally just begun the next supposed trough. I don't know when the next gig is at the moment. I've just finished a big job on Outlander, and there is always, no matter what job I do, there's always an element of post-production blues. You can't escape it, and I actually think you have to embrace it a little bit. You have to go and look at what are those positives that I've taken from that job. What have I enjoyed about it? What have I enjoyed about working with certain individuals, whether it be the director, the cast members, producers? What did I do on those jobs that maybe I could work on next time around? And I'm a big believer in trying to leave no stone unturned. In my profession, there are certain elements that are out of my control to an extent. You know, I have an agent. I have to rely on people to potentially put work on the table for me. But there are certain things I can do. I can be looking after myself mentally, physically. I can be doing like the simplest thing. I know not everybody has children, but I have 2 wonderful children. I can make sure that when I'm out of work, I'm focusing on them and giving them everything I can. So when the next job comes around, there's not this stress about needing to have I put enough time into my children. And it's also, I think it's being aware of other things in your industry. I don't know what you do, Ian, but it's trying to, for me, it's looking at, I'm constantly looking at other films, constantly looking at other plays, reading, writing. I think that a lot of actors, when they are in the sort of troughs, they quite often use boredom as a get out, and they think, oh, I'm bored and I'll do this, and I'll be honest, when I used to be very much the same, and it was I'd be bored, and my go-to would be to go to the pub, like a lot of actors do. And don't get me wrong, I like a beer, but I think that it can be very destructive, and it's knowing that for me, I don't think there is any such thing as boredom. There is always something you can be doing as an individual. It's always something. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever your fail-safes are, whether it be, right, first thing in the morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go for a run. Whether it be I need to read for an hour. Whether it be the simplest things of getting your life in order. But I think there's always something you can be doing. It doesn't mean you have to constantly be on gear 5, 100%. Achieving. I don't think that's what it's about, but I think you can always be exercising your mind and exercising your body and keeping yourself, as supple as possible.
Excellent. And I think from my perspective, I'll just expand on that, Ed, is there's 2 ways you can look at it when you're in a trough. You can be on the defensive or you can be on the offensive. And I think one way to avoid those troughs in my own career has been, whilst I'm in a job, is to be looking for that next opportunity, and whether that's working with your agent, broadening your network, nurturing those relationships. A lot of our industry is built and predicated on the quality of your relationships. And I was saying to Ed before, there's a difference between, people say it's who you know. I don't think it is. I think it's who knows you. If we're building relationships with casting directors, there's a difference between me going, oh yeah, I know that casting director. If I walk past them in the street, would they stop and actually acknowledge me? That's the difference between me knowing them and them knowing me. So I think the more offensive you can be when you are in those troughs, or if there's a pattern emerging. I think, Ian, we were saying last night, there's a month of the year for you that is always a trough, and you've seen this pattern over the last 21 years. I'm like, well, if we know that's coming, then what can we use that trough for? And we can be on the offensive as opposed to being on the defensive. And what would you say about taking accountability for those troughs? Another big thing I coach actors on is like, if you're not working, without, I don't want to sound brutal, but it's within your control. It's like, if you take full accountability, it is your fault. It's not your agent's fault. It's not a director's fault. It's not a casting director's fault. If you pull all that power back to yourself and say, I'm not working, thus it's my fault, you feel you can then do something about it.
I think to an extent, it comes back to that sort of no stone unturned element. I think as an actor, you'll be going up for, in that trough, that could last 3 months, 6 months. I mean, I had one a couple of years ago that I didn't work for 9 months, and that gets a bit hairy when you've got, it doesn't matter at what point you are in your career. Anyone not working for 9 months is a tough thing to handle, and to sort of maintain your self-worth and trust you. There's you get to a point where there's certain things you keep telling yourself that feel like they're not working. But I do believe that if you are doing everything you can in those opportunities, then you're able to hold your head high, and you know that you don't want to be that person going, I should have done more of that. I could have done a bit more there. I could have adjusted that. I could have, you can always look at how you can improve. There's no harm in that, but I think you need to be able. You don't want to be thinking I should have done a bit more. Basically, that's what I.
Nice. Hope that helps a little bit, Ian. We're going to move on to Bill Scott, OBE. Bill Scott, OBE, in the house. Question says, how do you emotionally... Oh, okay, this is interesting. How do you emotionally connect with your audiences? So I guess there's people in here who will be going in to present to people that they've never met before, pitch for contracts, etc. It's different maybe from being on screen where it's being recorded to being in a theatre where it's live right now. Hopefully we'll try to connect with the audience in here. How do you ensure you connect with the audience?
I suppose today's quite a good test, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's two different forms in acting, isn't there? There's theatre or there's TV and film. Purely from an artistic point of view, I need to know my work, my script inside out. If I don't know what I have to do, what my objectives are as a character inside, what I'm trying to achieve. This mic's all over the place. I'm going to do that. Blame the tools. Yeah, I think from a theatre point of view, if there's two things in play. One, that I know that people have come in and they've paid good money to sit in the audience and to be there, and it doesn't matter if there's 400 people in the audience or 30. I was doing a play tour last year with Matt Horn. We were doing Rain Man. That was it actually came up here with the second part of the tour, I think, and it was obviously a hugely iconic film with big themes. Covering autism and loss and greed and relationships. And there was a plethora of things we could sort of connect with. But I also knew that, if we had to go out in front of an audience, that it didn't matter if there was 400 people out there or 30 people out on a Saturday afternoon matinee. You have to deliver, and you have to do it for them. And as long as you've done your work inside out, and you know your objectives from a character point of view, you know what you want to achieve as an actor, then you can put it onto your audience. Because essentially, from my point of view, they are the audiences who are watching the TV shows I'm in or the plays I'm in. They are the ones who pay me, essentially. They're the ones who drive me to getting my next jobs. And you owe a huge amount to them. So putting it in and I think that's having empathy with your audience and understanding them and understanding what they want based on the script, based on the content of the story you're trying to tell. I think you have, and that's all about having a really good grasp of what you have to do and enjoying it as well. One of the things as an actor, you have to enjoy being up there. And I think if you're presenting, I don't work in a business sense in the same way as many of you do, but I feel that even if you struggle with that enjoyment element and you find it stressful or nerve-wracking to be up on stage, then you just have to think that you're there for a reason. There's a reason why you are in there in that situation, whether it be some of the fantastic speakers today. Now, I haven't spoken to everybody who's spoken today, but I'm sure if I did individually, I'm sure a couple of you would say there might be an element of nerves before going in. I might be wrong, but there might be some sort of anticipation. It was a lovely lady speaking before lunch, Lara, I think it was, and they were talking about, you were talking about things going wrong the night before. Now that happens in plays and film sets all the time. There's always circumstances that sort of force you to have to change. And you were saying it's kind of, with great sort of pizzazz was saying, you threw it all out the window. But although you were saying you threw it all out the window, you still knew that you had the truth of what you wanted to do at the same time. And I think that's important for all of us, is that you have to enjoy being up there and rise to the challenge. And we can all do that, I think.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's really interesting. Acting is supposed to be enjoyable. Your job is supposed to be enjoyable. It's not. Some people say to us, "Oh, you're so lucky to be doing what you love," and I'm like, well, it's not lucky in terms of, I think it's everybody's right to be doing a job that they love, and I think most people who are here have realised that at some point in their life, and now you are in businesses or running your own businesses, and you've decided to stop building other people's dreams and start building your own. But a lot of actors find the process of getting work and stuff torturous in terms of the audition process, and sometimes you've got to come back and go, why did I get into this in the first place? What have I lost that I had as a child, and this imagination and all this playfulness that suddenly I've come into the business, and it's become way more stressful. So it's about remembering kind of why you're doing it. And then the couple of points to expand, you said before as well, when we were talking about engaging with audiences, how important it is to listen. Acting is all about listening, all about reacting to the person, responding to the person you're opposite. So listening and specificity, you said.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in any line of work and any field, and to be fair, in some respects, in any relationship, I think specificity is important because it ties into honesty. If you're being specific about, what you've got to do, what you want to get across, then you're only going to be helping the other person you're working with. And with acting, you have to be specific. You can't be vague. You can't be vague with an emotion in acting. I can't look at a script and go, this guy's sort of feeling this, he's sort of thinking this, because it doesn't mean anything. You need to be very sort of definite, I think. And I think that applies to everyday life. I know I'm sort of repeating myself. That's because I'm not an expert. So, but I feel that, I think you do need that. And actually thinking about it sitting here, how often does that happen? When you are specific with people and you're honest with people, you 9 times out of 10 seem to get either a better response or a more honest feeling back. It might not always be what you want to hear, but it actually is more constructive in the long run. And I think that's the same with acting when preparing. Specificity is huge. Specificity is hugely important. You mentioned listening, Ross. I mean, that's what we have to do all day long. You can't. I was talking to a guy, Steve, outside just a moment ago, and I was talking about listening and responding. And that is, the sort of school of thought I come with acting is based on a guy called Sanford Meisner, mainly, and his sort of fundamental belief is all about listening and responding. I think we have to do that all day long anyway, but I think with acting it is, I may come into a scene with a preordained idea about how I want to play that scene out and what I want my character to give. Now, but the actor I'm working with on the day may throw something completely different to how I've interpreted their reading of what I think that character should be doing. Now, if I shut down and go, well, that doesn't work with me, then the whole scene sort of just disintegrates and it has no life, and then there's no truth. But if I listen to what they're offering and respond, it doesn't have to sort of be disingenuous to my own work, and I can just throw something back by giving an honest response.
Yeah, I think with honesty as well, leads nicely into this next question, because it's all about something we all feel, regardless of the industry we're in. It's all about rejection. As actors, we go for probably, if we're lucky and our agents are doing their job and we're doing ours and we're leveraging our network and stuff, we might get 2 or 3 effectively job interviews a month. You're going to audition, and most people in the corporate world or in other sectors maybe have one job interview every 2 years, every 5 years. Maybe they stay in a company their entire life, and rejection isn't something that they're hit with on a weekly basis. It is as actors. Gillian says, how do you deal with emotions involved when you don't get, Gillian Jenkins says, thank you for the question, you don't get an acting job that you really want. And then I'd like you to also tell the audience about when you've had to reject people in your own projects, because you're an actor, but you also produce your own work.
Yes, so rejection is hard. There's no denying that. And actually, weirdly, after doing this gig for nearly 15 years, in some respects, it hasn't necessarily got any easier. The rejection, in some respects, gets a bit harder with more success and more opportunities coming your way. And the stakes are raised, and that yes, the rejection gets harder. But I don't think there's any harm in admitting that. I don't think there's any harm I don't think you need to shy away from that. But I think one thing I do keep checking in on myself more and more recently is that, I look at now and I look at a few years ago and I go, well, there's a reason why you're getting in these rooms. There's a reason why you're getting down to the last 2.
Ray's question, last question, then we're going to throw the ball out. It says, so Ray was talking to us last night. It says, how do you say things? Say, for instance, somebody, your line manager, I don't know, or someone above you gives you something, a piece of news or something to deliver. Maybe you've got to lay somebody off, you've got to fire somebody. I don't know, how do you say something that's hard to say, that sometimes you might not even agree with morally or to your standards? How do you deliver that kind of thing in a way that you're still being authentic to yourself? So maybe we talked about on set where you're given a line for your character, and your character, you know your character really, really well, and you might be thinking, well, actually, my character wouldn't say this. Maybe someone gives you something to do, and you're like, well, this isn't how I perform, but I don't want to say no to this manager. What if I lose my job or something? And sometimes you've got to get the courage to say, actually, I don't think my character would say this in this way. Can we come to some kind of compromise? Or you just, you're effectively delivering that news in a way that is congruent with you, your standards, your morals, in an empathetic way, emotionally intelligent way. What have you got to say around that? Yeah, if people are struggling to deliver that
I think the
message?
example you're giving there, Ross, I think when, you know, and that's happened to me, it happened to me only last week. I was given a note or a line to say by a producer that I sort of completely disagreed with. For me, it was about compromise at that stage. And I have been the actor on set in the past who has really kicked off about that. And actually, when you put it in the bigger world, to kick off about being told what a line to say is not really that big a deal. And I've learnt that now. And I think by talking it through with this producer at the time, we both came to an agreement that meant I felt that I could deliver what they wanted, even though if it didn't 100% sit comfortably with me, I was able to find a way for my character to respond to it. I think you have to be prepared to work through situations like that. For example, we were talking about something earlier on. Other than acting, the last couple of years I've started producing a little bit, short films, and moving into a feature soon. But one of a really tough call to make this year. We were putting a short film together, our second short, and the central figure the lead character is a young boy set up in Glasgow, and we had cast this young lad who was brilliant, really authentic, perfect for the role in terms of physicality, appearance, all the rest of it. And we spent a lot of time with him, going to see my personal acting coach. We flew him up and down from Scotland to London. We spent a lot of work, and because we needed him to have a huge amount of emotional range, which for any actor is very, very difficult. But for a 12-year-old who's not really done anything in front of a camera before is exponentially so, potentially. And we felt that we were putting all this effort in. He was putting huge amounts of effort in, and I could see it was stressing him out. And I could feel that my director, my business partner, it wasn't quite working. And Barnaby, my business partner, said, "Well, look, I think we need to make a call on this because we're getting closer and closer to production, and our lead actor isn't quite at the point we need him to be at." And having been on the acting side for a long time and having lots of rejection, that's been tough enough. I'd never thought I'd be in a position where I'd have to let someone go, especially a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old boy having to let them down, let them go. And I remember walking the dog and the whole build-up, knowing I was going to be calling this boy's mother in the evening. And the whole day I felt sick. I felt with dread, with fear. I was thinking about all these existential problems. How is he going to be on the back of this? What impact will that have? And actually, when I got to the conversation and I was honest with his mother, and I said, look, and I genuinely believed that he'd come a long way, but I felt he wasn't quite at that point to deliver what we needed him to deliver. And by being honest with his mother, and in turn him, it was completely the right thing to do. And her response was, she was upset for him, but she also completely understood. And actually, she was honest enough to say, we felt it was going that way. We felt that was what was happening. And I don't think, in times of difficulty, I think we've got to be prepared to be as honest as possible. Even if there's a part of you that thinks, I just don't want to do this. It doesn't quite feel right doing it. But fundamentally, looking back, it was 100% the right thing to do. And I think you have to be prepared to do that.
Yeah, I think tying it in with EQ in terms of the consequential thinking element of it and the consequences of the situation you're in. A lot of people don't want to have that 5-minute burn and that conversation, but actually what they're doing is they're bringing the consequence of a 3-month or even a multiple years of pain, as opposed to going, if I just get on the phone and I phone this person up and tackle this head on with complete, with empathy, but with complete honesty, that's going to save me so much hurt for this. Had you taken that boy through the process, and he'd have fallen apart during the filming of that.
Yeah, exactly. If he'd been on location and been shooting with us, and he capitulated, how that would have felt. I mean, having been a young actor, and things go wrong, it can be a real catastrophic situation to be in. So I know now that was the best. That's the best thing for him.
Yeah. It's, no, interesting. I love it. And we're going to throw the ball out. Has anybody got anything they want to ask Ed? And I'll try and not destroy the room. Anybody for anybody? Am I missing anybody? Someone. There we go. I'm not throwing it that far. I'll pop on down. You fill the space, Ed, while I run over here.
So do a sing song.
Oh God. Do a dance or something.
20 questions.
There you go.
Hello. My question is about how do you get into a character? Especially I'm thinking about an example, Jack Nicholson, when he played in The Shining, he was really trying to be kind of psychopathic himself. So that requires some managing emotions. If you have to play an angry character, but you're not angry, how do you get the best state of mind to actually do the best angry character?
I mean, having just played on paper a psychopath, I don't think I am a psychopath in real life. I'll let you be the judge of that. Fundamentally, I always have to. I've used that word a lot. Sorry. I have to look at strengths and weaknesses of both the character and myself. I need to find a way in. So if it's playing someone who is dark and is removed from me, I also need to have empathy with that character. So it's no different to I don't think, to EI. I mean, using the character as a real, living, breathing human. Now, as I say, there are certain things that I can't associate myself with that character, but I need to find a way in. So strengths and weaknesses being one. You know, where are we similar? Where we different? What's that character's point of view of the world? What's my point of view of the world? And how can I put my own truth into that? Using the psychopath as an example, I don't think no one plays psychopath. You know, there was learned behaviour there, and I think you have to find ways of how does that character use his certain behaviours to get what he wants out of certain scenes, whether it be he charms them, whether he uses aggression, whether he uses empathy himself, whether he uses sorrow, whether he uses manipulation, intimidation, and how would I, Ed, maybe find ways to associate myself in those situations. Another powerful tool for me, which again I was talking with Steve and we were talking about it a little bit as well, is it comes back down to the Meisner approach for me personally. Every actor is different.
Just tell people what Meisner is, they won't know.
So Sanford Meisner was a guy, he studied originally Konstantin Stanislavski, but trained with Lee Strasberg, who had sort of the whole method school in New York. And Sanford Meisner kind of grew tired of the method idea, the method being very much internal, bring up your own emotions, your own memories, and there is merit in some of that, but it becomes very internal. And that's why I think actually the more I've been here the last day and listening to other people and researching and reading about the EI setup, the Meisner setup's not too similar because it's about putting out onto others as well. It's about the whole thing about listening and responding and being able to read one another's emotions and perhaps knowing what they might need in that situation to support them, which in turn is supporting yourself. So with Meisner, I will always, I will try but one of the big things with Meisner is about imagination. So it's imaginary circumstances. Rather than having to dredge up horrific things of your past or tragic things of your past, how great or small they might be, it's about, we all have a powerful imagination within us. We can all put ourselves in many circumstances based on our own given circumstance. And it's about that. It's about, which means you don't need to let it rip you apart as an actor, and which inherently gives it more fun to be had. And it comes back down to listening and responding again, because Meisner is very much about putting out to somebody, offering something to somebody else, listening to seeing what their response is, listening to that, and then translating it and putting it, and then putting it back into another response.
May I ask, is it on? Yeah. How easy is it to come back to your true self once you do all that?
I think it depends. I think again, if I was playing a role like I've just played, luckily I had a 7-hour drive back from Glasgow back to Bristol with the dog in the car, which meant by the time I got home, my partner and children didn't think I was a raving psychopath. But I think it depends. I think you have to the beauty of the imagination and the sense of play you can have as an actor is that you can separate the two. There's always a bit of remnants there. There's always a little bit of leftovers with a role to an extent, because you've probably invested so much time in it, and you've invested so much time learning about that world and getting inside that character's mind. But that's part of acting anyway. That's part of being, I feel, being a human anyway. We're constantly looking around us and taking in. I think that's potentially why not all actors, but they're not necessarily all actually emotionally intelligent, but they have the ability to understand emotions, certainly when it comes to putting characters together, because we're constantly looking around and studying people and watching behavior and watching how the humans interact. Like, we're fascinated with the human condition. So I feel that we have a good understanding of emotions, but we're not necessarily all emotionally intelligent. Something we could all work on, perhaps.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we just say a big thank you? You're going to have to do the voiceover of that next time we play it, and dress up also like a lamb, like he has. That was absolutely fascinating. I always think the part of somebody's story where they talk about, I hate to ram it home, but the rejection, the moment where things didn't work out and how you managed to turn it around. I have one very brief question, which is, when you get offered a job for a character that you're wondering, how did they see that in me? Yeah. Very briefly, is there ever a moment within you where you have to struggle to adapt and wonder, what have I shown? Is there a dark side of me that they've seen?
Well, is it wrong to say I get quite excited by that?
You get quite excited?
Yeah, if I like playing, because I think for so many years I've played roles that were like the sort of the romantic lead or more in that line. So suddenly be playing these darker characters, I'm sort of excited by that. And also, there is something slightly worrying, though. I suppose I have two small children. Those roles have started happening since I've had the children. So I don't know if I'm doing something at home that is making me...
They open up a world of emotions.
That's what it is, yeah.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
They'll be around and always happy to have a chat,
Yeah,
I
of
believe.
course.
So,
Definitely.
Ed and Ross, thank you. Thank you, guys. You can leap off.
Yes, nice one.
Oh, there you go. There's the recording. I hope you enjoyed that. That went super, super fast. That was about I'm sure it was over half an hour, that. Yeah, super interesting chat that we had with Ed at EQ Connects. Just think that, the more you can be emotionally intelligent as an actor, it's a bit of a new term that's kind of being bandied around that, is very much a 2018, 2019, 2020 world. That a lot of people might not even, you will have developed emotional intelligence in your career as an actor, which basically just means, being aware of your emotions, being able to control your emotions, and being able to express your emotions, both in and out of your career. You will have developed that innately because you are dealing with emotion every day in your work as an actor, but you might not be aware that it is called emotional intelligence. If you want to find out more about it, it's a fascinating world. It's all very much science-backed as well. It's real. It's just a really, really useful skill to develop in your life and your career. Just Google EQ Connects. That's the conference, the name of the conference. That was the first one they've ever done in this country. Like I say, people from all around the world came to that. It was a fantastic couple of days in Gateshead. I'm sure there's going to be another one in 2020. But yeah, follow EQ Connects on Twitter as well. Get yourself over to eqconnects.com. I'm guessing that's the website where you can learn more about it. But what did you think? Ed's an interesting guy, isn't he? Really good. He's going to come on and do a podcast on thatsonthis.tv for all premium members of the website shortly as well. I literally just WhatsApped him before to tell him the replay of that we'd got through. And he's going to come on, and I think we're probably going to do an Outlander roundtable. He might come on his own for one, but then we're going to bring another couple of guests in from Outlander, another couple of actors from Outlander who've starred opposite Ed in the show. And we might even has there got any Outlander fans here? We might do a phone-in on that podcast for premium members. And if you're not a member, thatsonthis.tv, go sign up. That was really interesting. It says, Angie, thank you. Appreciate it. Smashed it, mate, says Stephen. Cheers, Steve. Mitra said, when can you watch it from the start? The replay of that will be available when I finish this recording in a few minutes, when I finish this broadcast that's live right now. It's 3 minutes to 10. As this is going out, but as soon as I finish this broadcast, it will be available as a replay as well. And I'm also going to put the audio up on the Acts on This TV audio experience, which is a completely separate free podcast. I don't know if you know about this, but I rip the audio from every one of these live broadcasts that we do on a Monday night, and I put it on iTunes and I put it on Spotify as something called the Acts on This TV audio experience. It's completely separate from all of these podcasts that you find over at actsonthis.tv. These are all the premium ones that are in here. So you'll see, we've got features with, like I said before, the biggest casting directors, agents, actors, writers, producers, directors, like in the country. These are all premium ones that you can only get on actsonthis.tv. But over on Spotify, if you literally just open up a Google browser and I just type in all one word, Act on This TV, I'll just type Spotify. Let's see if we can find it. No, that's not how you spell Spotify. That's Spotty Die. There you go. See that? That's on this TV audio experience on Spotify. And you'll see there's 208 episodes on there. That's basically the audio from all of these broadcasts. If you can't make a broadcast one night and you want to catch up and you're, go to the gym, you're in the car, you're going to an audition, whatever, get yourself subscribed to that and you'll get, updates every single week. I put that audio out on the Tuesday every single week. So that's one way to keep your eye on the ball with what's going on actonthis.tv. And once again, a huge shout out to everyone who signed up over the weekend. Like I say, 65 new actors signed up over the weekend. The community is just growing massive now. So it's an exciting time. Keith is in the house. All right, Keith. There will be EQ conference in Ireland next year, says Dawn, because Dawn works with EQ Connects and Catherine and everybody there. Nice one, Dawn. Keep us posted. I would love to come back, speak a bit more. Like I said, that whole post that I put out this morning about a Monday manifesto, getting actors really to think about what they want to achieve before the end of this year, because most people are just winding down right now. It's a big mistake. Your competition, let them wind down. This is a golden window for you over the next 6 weeks to get ahead, really, kind of knuckle down to in your acting career. So you can go into Christmas, knowing that you've done the work you need to do this year. The part of me putting that post out this morning, telling people to get clear, was I myself needed to get clear on what I want to do. The 3 things that I'm getting clear on is 1, more opportunity for public speaking. That was the whole point of doing that, that public speaking event there with Ed. That's a big one. I'm also going to be refilming a program that I launched it 5 years ago. I normally only launch it once a year, called Bulletproof Actor: Unstoppable Confidence, Infinite Success. If you go to bulletproofactor.com, you can find out all about it. But it's basically, still to this day, 5 years later, the world's only science-backed positive psychology program for actors, specifically based for actors. Ultimately, it's all about helping actors get out of their own way when it comes to their mindset and their mental game. So many actors are so capable in this industry, have everything they need talent-wise to get out there and actually book TV work, working in things that they really want to work in. But them themselves are getting in their own way because of lots of limiting beliefs in their heads around what they can and can't achieve in this industry. They don't feel enough. They don't feel, everything. God, they don't feel good enough, worthy enough, good looking enough, young enough. They don't have enough money for all these limiting bullshit beliefs that they have, that really is just fear dressing itself up as practicality in their life to make them feel that there's a reason why they can't be achieving what they want. And there isn't. There is no reason. Like I said in that audio there, people say to people all the time who are doing things they love, you're so lucky to be doing a job that you love. There's no luck involved. Without sounding brutal, you have chosen to do something you don't want to do. That's just it. It is everybody's God-given right, really, to be doing a job that they love, but people just don't believe they can. And this isn't some airy-fairy, just believe and it'll happen. Of course it's not that. Hustle is required. I've put 15 hours a day into this website, into actonthis.tv. Now, it's just an incredible existence. I love running the website. I get to meet people in this industry every single week who are doing incredible things. Get to hang out with you guys on a Monday night and putting content out that's really impacting the industry and helping other people. It's just a really joyous thing to do. And of course, I get paid for it. It's took 8 years and so many times where I've wanted to give up because it's been a thankless task. Still to this day, I get dickheads emailing me. They jump on my email list. I reach out and give them value. And then they email me "What? Stop sending me this shit." I'm like, mate, you're just again, they're getting in their own way. They're getting in their own way, basically. So bulletproofactor.com, go in there. You can get on the waiting list for that program when I open it up again. But that's one of my things, to refilm that program, to launch Bulletproof Actor version 2. I'm going to film that throughout this month and December. That was one of my things. Public speaking was the other. And I don't know what my third thing is yet. I could just make something up right now just to pretend I know. But I think that sometimes it's all right to not have it all figured out. But I just think, actors right now should be thinking about what it is they specifically want. Okay, and in terms of what it is you want, don't just say, I want to book a job. It's too vague. It's never going to be achievable if you're just making goals that are really vague. People make goals every year that I want to earn more money. It's just bullshit. Here's £5, then there you go, you've done it. Is that it? Is that what you wanted? Get really specific on your goals. And if right now it's like your first TV job you're looking for, then in what do you want your first TV job in? What's realistic and achievable, between now and Christmas? If you've got all your stuff together and you've got a show reel, you're on Spotlight, you've got a headshot, and you're with an agent, there's no reason between now and Christmas you cannot book one line on Hollyoaks, on Emmerdale, on EastEnders, on Coronation Street. They're constantly looking for people to come into those shows to be policemen, paramedics, nurses, court clerks, all this kind of stuff. Get specific, get really specific. And then what you can do is when you know what you want, you can ask for it. Until you know what it is you want, how can you ask for it? I'm just going to go and ask the acting industry for a job. Well, there's millions of them out there. Like, what kind of job do you want? So get really specific on this manifesto. What is it that you are pledging that you want from the end of, between now and the end of this year? And then if you are a member of actsonthis.tv, please come and post it in the members area. So if you go to the website, click on members area when you've logged in, go to the premium community, you'll see a post at the very top that I put out this morning, which should be loading now. Come on, internet. It is there. This is what happens when you're streaming from your phone and you try to do stuff like this. There you go. What's your Monday manifesto? I mean, look, loads of people, 21 people have already commented underneath here what it is, the 3 things that they want. And this is really going to help me create content on this website and bring guests in to do interviews with that are going to help you achieve those things. So please, the more specific you can be, the more I can help you. I can't help you if you're going to set really vague goals. I need you to be super specific about what it is that you want. And like I said, then you can get out in the industry and ask for it. People aren't asking for enough. It's another thing I always say, innit? Life will pay any price you ask. What you're asking for. So many people, what it is you want. You know what you want, but you're too afraid to dream that big or ask for that thing. And I know that because I'm the same. I have to push myself all the time where I'm like, I think, that'd be nice, but I don't know if that's out of my league. And I'm like, no, of course it's not. At least go and try and ask for it. Go and research it. Go and find some people who might have already done it who can tell you how they did it. So it's interesting, isn't it? But I hope you've enjoyed that anyway. And I will be, like I say, we'll be getting Ed on for a podcast pretty soon to do a proper podcast with us where he talks, in great detail about his career. Thank you, Omar. It's great talk with Ed. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. There's been a lot of people through this broadcast again tonight. So do appreciate you spending this time with us. So good to hear about the mental side of the industry, says Carly. It's everything. The tagline for Bulletproof Actor is mindset is everything. I really do believe it's the differentiator between people who are successful and people who aren't. And it sounds super cliched, that old, quote that Henry Ford, put out there. He said, the man who believes he can and the man who believes he can't are both right. If you really do believe you have the potential to do something, I promise you're going to take the action that's congruent with the result you want. If you don't believe you can get a decent agent, you don't believe you can book a job on TV, you don't believe you can book a lead, you don't believe you can, get a main role in something, a regular part on whatever it is you want. If you really don't believe that, you're never going to do it. You'll never achieve it. I promise you. The first thing you have to do is believe in your potential. It doesn't mean you believe you can do it right now, but you've got to believe you can do it at some point. If you put the work in, the training in, because then you're going to take massive action. By default, you're going to get really good results, and that's going to feed back into your belief. You're going to be like, see, I told you I could do it. Now I can believe a little bit more. Who's thought they couldn't do something, but gone, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway, achieved it, and then gone, holy shit, I can do this, and now I'm going to set a bigger goal for myself. You've probably done that in exercise. Maybe you've been training for a marathon and you never thought you'd be able to do it, and then you've gone and ran 4 miles and you go, wait a minute, I'm going to try 5 next week. Oh my God, I can do 5. I'm going to do 6 the week after. I did this back in 2010. I went from 1 mile to 20 miles, and then I ran a marathon. And then the year after I ran 2 marathons, and now I run a half marathon every single week. I never thought I could, when I first went out, I couldn't run a mile. I promise you, I could not run a mile without stopping. Now I run 13 miles every Sunday for fun because I enjoy it now. It's almost like meditation for me. Back in 2010, if you'd have said, oh yeah, you're going to run 13 miles of it, I'd be like, no way am I. Absolutely not. But I had the belief in my potential to go, okay, maybe I can. I'm going to test it. I'm going to try it. And, and I surprised myself. So think big. Sharon says, that was brilliant. Thank you, Sharon. Cheers, Matt. Appreciate you being here. Lucas says, ever since discovering Acts on This, the podcasts were what got me hooked into it, but the community and you, Ross, have been such a positive impact. Cheers, Lucas. That means a lot, mate. I've been contacting unis for acting roles and haven't stopped yet. Just thank all of you. Mate, that's massive. Honestly, really, really appreciate you being part of the community. And if you need anything, that's literally what we're all here for. Alex is here. Hope you're well, mate. Hope all is good. Harry's here. Didn't notice you joined, Harry. Says, brilliant course. Makes all the difference. Thanks, mate. Thanks for being here. Dan's here. Petch has just joined. Petch is trying to get me to go to the cinema tomorrow because we're not doing a podcast tomorrow because we've got a podcast lined up next week. We've got Ryan Clayton. I wonder if I can show you quickly. Oh, I'm not going to be able to show you any of it because it is on the site, but I have to be an admin I have to be logged in as that. No, I can't show you it. But next Monday, a podcast with any Corrie fans in the house. Ryan Clayton, great actor, plays Josh Tucker, the guy who's just accused David Platt of stabbing him in prison on Corrie. We got any Corrie fans in the house? Was in Coronation Street from January 2018 till September 2018, left, took a year out, and now he's just been invited back. I thought it'd be a great time to sit down with him and talk about what it's like being on, one of the biggest soaps in the country, and then leaving, and then getting an opportunity to come back, and what it was like trying to get work in between, and changing agents, and all this sort of stuff. He talks about drama school, leaving drama school without an agent, hustling for his first couple of jobs, and how boxing, out of everything, this is what I mean about every part of your life affects every part of your life. It was being a boxer that got him the audition for Coronation Street. Please tell casting directors about your other skills that isn't just acting. Like I say, it's just boring. Being an actor, it's probably sacrilegious. People will be like, they're proper hating me for this, but I'm like, being an actor just on its own is so boring. I don't want to sit with another actor and just talk about acting. I'm like, oh God, it's so dull. The amount of people who email me and they say things as well. You know what as well? This is just some really honest feedback after running a community for 8 years and receiving dozens of emails a day from people, which is the right thing to do, reaching out and asking for help. You should always do that. When you write an email to someone, don't offer them, don't use this phrase, can I pick your brains? I mean, it sounds disgusting in itself. Who wants to have their brains picked? Right? Don't use that phrase. Everybody uses that phrase, and it's just like, oh God, another person who wants to pick my brains. You please just say something else. And offering to just go out for a coffee, it's just not going to cut it in 2019, 2020. You need to, when you're reaching out to people in this industry, offer them some kind of value up front. I don't mean pay them or anything like that, but at least, offer to if you've got a skill that you can maybe help them. I did this when I was first starting off in this industry. I knew I was decent at web developing. I reached out to casting directors and went, listen, I can help you design a website. If there's anything, if you could, maybe help me understand this industry a bit better, I'll create a website for you and stuff. Swap skills that you've got when you're reaching out to people for anything, not just in the acting industry, just in life, but using the phrase, can I take you for a coffee and can I pick your brains? It's just done. It's dead to me, that now. It was fine for the first 8 years, but it doesn't work now. Be a bit more inventive when you're reaching out to people. Dan says, I'd like to achieve my first professional credit by the end of the year, even if it's just a line. This year I decided to try again and confidently pursue what I love, and it's a slow, tough process, but my confidence and belief in myself is building, and that's thanks to this community. Amazing, Dan. Thanks for being a part of this community, mate. And if you want one line, please tell people that's what you want. If you're reaching out to a casting director at Corrie or Emmerdale or Hollyoaks or whatever, you don't just say, dear Sir Madam, please consider me for roles. Nah, it's bollocks. Say, my name's Dan. I'm I am whatever age you are, whatever, from wherever. I normally get cast as, I don't know what it is, Dan, authority roles, policemen, doctors. I'm really keen to get my first line on TV. If you have anything coming up, anytime soon, would, be so grateful to be considered. Be really specific. You've got to give it them on a plate. Don't expect someone to be able to figure out from an email exactly what they should bring you in for, because they haven't got time. Really, really busy. Do people a favor by literally spelling it out for them what you want, and showing them that you can do that as well. Michelle did it, didn't you? She just said there on Brassic. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you did, Michelle. It worked, didn't it? I remember when I got your email, you're like, yeah, listen to you say that, and I did it, and now I've got a job on Brassic Season 2, which is just such a good show. Brilliant show on Sky. Joe Gilgan, Danny Broccolis wrote. It's just incredible. And it just shows you just did it. You acted on it. That's what I'm constantly telling people. Just, don't just listen to this stuff on a Monday night. Go and actually do something with it. Definitely. Carl's in the house. All right, Carl. Hope you're good, mate. Julia's here as well. Thank you, Julia, for being here. I'm missing loads. I've got another 30 comments. I'm going to let you guys go. I can't read all of these. otherwise we'll be here forever. But I do massively appreciate everybody for spending this time with me. I know you've got so many things competing for your attention. So many people could have gone and watched Netflix tonight, or I don't know, Amazon Prime, or whatever you watch. Tony Ross is here from Chicago. Best way I've learned to pick someone's brains is by starting a podcast and having them on as a guest. Yeah, that's a good under the radar thing, isn't it, Tony? Definitely. But that's giving them value, because then you're going, right, okay, you know what? If you've got an audience and you've built an audience, you're saying to somebody, listen, why don't you come and chat on my show? And you can then leverage my audience if you've got something to promote. I don't know, maybe you're selling a book. Maybe you've got a show out that you want people to watch. Maybe you're looking for some help on a production. You're crowdfunding. I don't know what it could be. But at least you're leading with value there. You're not just saying, hey, why don't you give me 3 hours of your time and I'll pick your brains. It's too one-sided. You've got to lead with value. At least offer it. It doesn't mean you end up doing it. A lot of people will just appreciate the offer and go, yeah, come in and have a chat. But I just think that's we're just living in a world where that phrase is just done. It's just done, innit? Oh, I just wonder if I could pick your brains. Just use something else. I don't know. Come up with something new. Listen, thank you so much for being here. If you've not listened to the 2 podcasts that I put out on actonthis.tv last night that I spoke about at the start of this broadcast tonight, the one with star of Ken Loach's brand new film, Sorry We Missed You, Chris Hitchin. It's incredible. I'm going to play you a 60-second clip of it now. There was also one I did with Melissa Johns last week that's gone up on the site. She stars in BBC One's new upcoming drama Life by Mike Bartlett. She's got an incredible story as well. But I'm going to finish by playing this 60-second clip of Chris. Chris is the most honest actor I think I have ever interviewed on Acts on This, right? I mean, it's a bit of a expletive driven podcast. There's quite a bit of swearing in it, because Chris is what you see is what you get with Chris. God, there's been 1,600 people watch this broadcast tonight. Thank you so much. Just looking at the stats there, that's amazing. Chris is just so good, and like I say, he was a plumber for decades. It was a business he didn't really want. He kind of inherited it off his dad. He didn't fully embrace what he wanted from life, and he didn't ask for what he wanted till much later in life. He turned his back on the industry 4 times. He got dragged back in by literally the universe just would not let him go. And now eventually, he's just landed this role in an international cinema release. It's changed his career. It's changed his life. He's landed a massive agent in London. Lots of work now. It can happen for anybody watching this broadcast who is not where they want to be right now. Doesn't mean that your past is going to equal your future, right? Whatever has happened to this point does not mean it's going to happen from now on. Please, like I said before, believe in your potential, but take that freaking action to get what you want. It's all about acting on what you want, basically. So this is a 60-second clip of Chris Hitchin's podcast. If you're not a member of actonthis.tv, go sign up. You'll get access to the full hour and 45-minute chat, along with over 200 hours more with the biggest casting directors, agents, actors, writers, directors, and execs in this industry. I promise you it's going to be worth more to you than any workshop you could do. They don't teach this shit at drama school. No acting classes teach it. If you don't understand the business of the business, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. Until next Monday, thank you so much for being here. Love you all. This is just a real honest look at Chris's career. Just 60 seconds. I'll see you next week. All right? Bye for now.
And when he did that, I shit you not, I was so in it, I kicked the fucking chair clean across the audition room, lost it, and nearly stormed out of the audition room. I got all the way to the door.
Welcome everybody to a very special episode of Watch Ross, the Sorry We Missed You special. Sorry We Missed You is Ken Loach's brand new film. It's out in cinemas this week. Please go and watch it. It's incredible. People are touting it as Ken's best work.
Chris Hitchin, welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
God.
That was Petch's idea to do that little rhyme.
And when I originally saw it, I thought, I'm perfect for that. But I'm not a Geordie. And then it came around again, and they were looking for somebody from either Manchester, Bolton, or Liverpool.
Yeah, I've done this, mate. So what did you do? Did you reach out yourself?
I found Carleen Crawford's email address and emailed the direct.
Amazing.